I want everyone to pause. And I know sometimes people play YouTube videos and they'll like use them as like podcasts. I want everyone to pause and I want everyone to look at me, okay? Just look at me. Now, do you think I'm a whore? If you answered yes, you may be correct. What I'm getting at is a lot of people make assumptions about how you dress, you know? Like, I'm dressed like this, and everyone's like, oh my god, a queer. And I'm like, yes, I am. You know, people may look at me and they think, oh, is she a sex worker? No, but hey, I ain't offended. A lot of people may look at me and they think I'm an artist, they think I'm a creative. Like, someone at work literally took one look at me and they went, oh, you seem like the creative type. I'm like, how the fuck did you know? Because I have the look, right? Is everyone always right? No, because what do they say? You shouldn't assume because you make an ass of you and me, but people do it, right? Unfortunately, assumptions are getting people deplatformed, and assumptions are getting people isolated. If you've been following me on Twitter, if you've been following me on social media, you know what this is about, but I'm going to explain it anyway. In the UK, there is something called the Online Safety Bill. Now, the Online Safety Bill basically requires you to enter your biometric data, so either use your face or your fingerprints, or they want your ID so that you can access sites. Now, the way this was framed was you must save the children, we must protect the children from paedophiles. And if you were friends with sex workers, you would know that anytime they mention anything to do with that, like we must save the children from trafficking, we must save the children from accessing porn, they're bullshitting you. And I say this lovingly to everybody in Britain and anyone that's made a comment about this, you should know better. You should know better, because it is never about saving the children. It is never about protecting children. And I think we can all, quote unquote, agree that yes, children should be protected from certain materials on the internet, but then why did I have access to Andrew Tate? Why are they allowed to watch people like Nigel Farage? Or, what's that fucker's name? The Paul brothers. If we really cared about children, we would ensure that they had access to material that weren't of a misogynistic nature. We would ensure that children didn't have access to materials that would cause them to go and kill their classmates. Just a thought. But no, the whore's the problem. I think I want to go beyond the average talking point of, yes, sex workers were right. Yes, they've always been right. Because at the end of the day, before, genocide, what's happening in Palestine, what's happening in Sudan or whatever, before all of that, before Black Lives Matter in 2020, before COVID started, I am telling you, sex workers were warning us that places like OnlyFans and what have you, sex worker platforms, were asking for biometric data in order to access certain sites. They were saying this. How do I know? Because a lot of them were my friends, and I saw them in real time get deplatformed, and nobody gave a shit because everybody hates whores. Right? And I think something that one of my friends, Dr. Zalika, said is she says a phrase and it's always stuck with me because it applied to me. She says, sex workers and sexualized bodies. I always thought that's a really interesting phrase. And the thing I love about Dr. Z, I'm going to talk to Dr. Z now. The thing I love about Dr. Z is that she makes me think. She's like, because the way that I make art, literally, look at me, tits out. My mum hates this top because my boobs pop out, and whenever I'm out, I'm just I have a certain look, right? And I have been making art online, proper, locked in, since about 2018, 2019. And what I found is that I would post a picture of just, hi, it's Anusha. I'm going to sing a song to you today. And it wouldn't like go anywhere. Like nothing would happen to it. They wouldn't get any engagement. And obviously I'm like 21 at the time, so I'm just like, what the fuck is happening? What I then realized is that by proxy, because it was assumed that I had a sexualized body, that my body, again, what is artistic and nude and what is naked, think about that. Because I wasn't just in the nude, which was like artistic, think Sydney Sweeney and that sort of stuff, I was just naked, I got essentially deplatformed without me even knowing. There's a specific situation that happened on Patreon, which I never really talked about because I was kind of embarrassed, but they rolled out this whole, you need to put your data onto our platform, and it was just verbatim, but they phrased it as only those who make 18 plus content. And I was like, that's not me. I make stuff for the kids, the older kids, but the kids. So I was like, fine, it's whatever. Don't even think about it. My account gets flagged. And suddenly I am now having to have a battle with the Patreon headquarters because I'm like, I am not making sexualized content. My content's not mature. My content is not harmful. What did I talk about on Patreon, dear viewer? Well, I talked about things like capitalism and my artistic process, and I talked about how I did photo shoots. Nobody should be putting their data onto Patreon. I refused, and they kept on at me. I was like, no, not doing it. You can go fuck yourselves. I ain't doing it. So what happened? They closed my account. I stopped posting. I deleted everything on my account. So I'm just going to start again. Close my account. And that was a passive income. I say passive because it wasn't really that passive. It still worked, but you know what I mean. Like that was income that was just coming in, and that was supporting me when I was like, you know, in a very awkward housing situation. And I think what I'm saying is that even when we say things like the sex workers were right, we should have developed a praxis of who is going to be desexualized, right? We should have developed a praxis of who is nude, who is seen as artistic and, you know, allowed to do whatever the fuck they want on platforms on the internet, and who is seen as disgusting and naked and whatever. That is something that we should have done for a long time ago. Because now we're here, and I'm going to make it about me for a second, just for a second. I am having trouble thinking about how I'm going to make music in the future, and that ain't hyperbole. I'm being deadly serious. My art, like, explores the body. This next project, which I'm so excited to tell you about later, explores how bodies have been isolated, and I make very vivid sort of, what's the word, like similes and metaphors and whatever to how people have been discarded. That's what the whole project's about. You've even heard some of my songs. You've read some of my lyrics. They could be considered harmful. If you don't develop a praxis of how the government should not be holding your data, 1. 2, content of the majority of nature of content should not be in control of the government. Because that's what we call fascism, folks. And what is frustrating me, what inspired this video, is that a lot of you lot are just doing police light. It's very liberal. Like, they keep, everyone keeps thinking that, well, we should protect the kids. You're already wrong. Yes, we should. Well, yeah, I feel like the government's right. We should protect. The government's never right. Start there. What does the government actually want to do? Because if you put your thinking caps on, like I said at the start of the video, why are kids allowed to watch Andrew Tate? Why has Andrew Tate got a platform? Why are the government doing this? Because data is capital. And like I've said with AI, people are investing in it. Massively. Go to every MP that is involved in this online safety bill. Go to their like history of, I don't know, taxes or whatever. Like go to their like statements that they have to report, or go to anything that involves money with them, I suppose, because they might not even report that shit. See if they are involved with any AI company. Go look. Pause this video and go look. Because I can fucking guarantee you that the majority of those MPs and whatever are just investing in their future, not ours. Some people are swerves, and I'm never going to be able to convince them. But if I'm going to, like I said, let's bring this back to me. Let's make this easy to understand. We're literally going to go through my lyrics, and I'm going to ask you, would the government consider my lyrics harmful or sexual? Let's start with scapegoats. I don't know how to be. I only scream through screams. Hopelessness lingers as I try to change the world with my fingers. Now you say with a threat so you can forget the bodies that lay cold. You watched it unfold, unbothered. You better kill a scapegoat to go back to what you know. Let's do someone I never wanted. Did you like the way I danced, the way my body moved to a lyric? Did you put me in a trance so you could see something explicit? Did you like my fingers stroking your ego? Did you like my innocence at your mercy, reducing my life to nothing? Would that be classed as sexual content? Right? Did you know the last song that I did, Someone I Never Wanted, that song's about sexual assault? Anytime people talk about, we must protect the children, I do think you do sound like conservatives, because why shouldn't children be allowed to have access to certain appropriate, like, sexual content? Because maybe that will teach them, 1, about sex, 2, how to have safe sex, and 3, when to know if they've been sexually assaulted or not. Anytime you even give the government an inch, like maybe we should, they take a mile. They were relying on your whorephobia in order to enact this. I'm going to quote someone I know called Cunty Meme. Cunty Meme? Sorry, being British sometimes fucks up like the way I say words. They just released an album today, so go listen to it. I'll put it in the bio. But the one thing they said that stuck with me, and you know when something aggravates you, but it aggravates you because they're right, but it's just, you're not aggravated at the person saying it, you're aggravated at the fact that we got here. The first thing they said was prepare. Prepare. How do you prepare? Depends. There is no one way to prepare. There is no one way to do anything. Prepare. That might mean you do something like me and you ensure you have a core audience outside of social media. I.e., I have a lot of people's email addresses and signals. I have a newsletter, which you can sign up to, which is, again, below. I also have a Bandcamp. I might even think about opening my own shop because, again, I do not know how videos are going to work with me anymore. So it might be a thing of I just put it on my own website. Own your own website. You can do it for like £2, I promise you. Think about it. Even if you ain't an artist, but you care about this disability, for example, this may be the time to start your own website, and your website could be 1 page, and just put a bunch of links, copy a bunch of pages, and just put a bunch of information there. This might be the time. Whatever works for you. Even if you do it analog, like another thing I'm doing is all of my favorite TV shows I am downloading. Point that period. I love cartoons. I adore cartoons. The way that cartoons are disappearing, like I can't find a full season of Steven Universe anywhere, like properly, like that's been divided right. I'm just gonna buy DVDs. I'm gonna get Shrek 1 and 2 on DVD. And I know that sounds really silly because I'm talking about sex workers and harmful content and I've just jumped to Shrek 2. But also, they have put this age gate thing on Spotify. How do I, as an artist, share my music with you where everything I do is considered sexual? It's considered harmful. I prepare. That's all I got. Let's hope this video saves because I'm recording on my laptop. Like I said, I'm doing a photo shoot to promote my merch for tomorrow. Tomorrow's Bandcamp Friday. This video will not be out by Bandcamp Friday, but I am doing this to promote Bandcamp Friday. It's going to be a fun little ditty. Yeah, I'm going to go. Bye!